Hello, my name is Drew, and today I'll be presenting an Arthurian feast/meal at the Mythological Round Table. This was made for royalty/elites during the Dark to Middle Ages. Earlier this week, I made an ancient Roman cheesecake, which was most likely prevalent during this time period in England. So first up, the role of feast in the time of Arthur and his round table were more of a ritual trying to show off the wealth of the elites to other elites present at the feasts. The feasts were multi-day ordeals, hosting games and events, much like we saw reading Gawain and the Green Knight. Running out of food at a feast would be incredibly embarrassing to the host, showing weakness and not being able to provide for their subjects. Eating at these feasts shows deep differences between the classes during this time period. At these feasts were incredibly luxury goods and foods for the very rich to show off their wealth and willingness to provide for their people. Something is often presumed by later people. Foods of the past were bland, boring, and had no flavor. However, the food of this time is quite varied and often quite sweet. An average Arthurian feast food would include things like fourets, it's a type of apple bread pudding, dar oils, which is a type of custard pie, grain bread, several types of stews, honey butter, and a variety of sauces and seasonings, including mustard, horseradish, cinnamon, and honey. These things would have appeared in the feasts of Arthurian myth and later medieval cookery. A lot of these dishes contain a lot of spices, especially for the wealthy. The Roman Empire ruled over England for a long period of time, up until English independence, so their culinary influence would have been very present. The Roman culinary influence maintained itself in its colonies, even maintaining most of the recipes into the much later Byzantine Empire. Therefore, the dishes of ancient Rome would have influenced those in ancient England. So for this project, I made a simple version of Silvillium, a type of ancient Roman cheesecake described by Cato the Elder. I chose the simplest version of this recipe due to budgetary restrictions, but during the Feasts of Arthurian myth, they would have added many expensive ingredients to elevate the foods that they were eating, for taste and to show off. One example that could have been added to the recipe would have been dates, a fruit most likely dried, to sweeten up the dish and make it look prettier. However, for this project, I used another common sweetener for the dish, honey. Honey was an incredibly important ingredient during this time period. So for this project, I used these ingredients, which are now on the screen. I used 3 3/4 cup whole wheat flour, which can be substituted for other types, but I used it to be more authentic. 28 ounces of fresh/farmer's type cheese. I used ricotta. 1 beaten egg, a lot of honey to taste, a sprinkle of poppy seeds, and a little bit of oil to make sure it doesn't stick. Unfortunately, we have lost all of the footage of us putting the cheese into the bowl. However, this is me and my executive producer, who is my mom, putting the honey into the cheese. And after we added the honey, we added the whole wheat flour. I do believe if we used white flour, it would have been better. However, this is more authentic to the recipe. And after the flour, we added a whole beaten egg to the mixture and mixed it. After the mixture was complete, we added a little bit of olive oil to the bottom of the pan just to make sure that it wouldn't stick. After we added the olive oil to the bottom of the pan, we added the mixture itself and spread it kind of thin to try to make sure that it cooked evenly. And here's what it looked like after it was added to the pan and ready to go into the oven. After it was all ready, we added the mixture/cheesecake into the oven at 350 for about an hour and 30 minutes. About at an hour and 20 minutes, we took it out and drizzled a little bit of honey on it, and we drizzled a little bit of the poppy seeds on it. And after the total 1 hour and 30 minutes, we took out the cheesecake, and this is how it looked. Here's a glamour shot of the cheesecake the day after. I sliced off a piece and ate it while it was still relatively warm, and it wasn't too bad. The taste wasn't too great, as the ingredients weren't very flavorful, and I'm honestly not the greatest baker. After bringing it to class later that day, it was apparently worse, and both my classmate and my professor compared the texture to chewing on an eraser. However, if I was a chef to the round table, I would have much more experience, budget, and access to more interesting ingredients to top the cheesecake with. Overall, this dish may have been a side dish to the main meals, such as stew containing game meat, ribs of beef, etc. I hope to revisit this recipe one day, perhaps for a different project. I hope you enjoyed, and thank you for watching.